One morning, I woke up and smelled the coffee. This was strange because I'd never been able to smell it before. Is this a new brand?
No, it's usual. Why?
I can smell.
What do you mean?
I mean, I can smell. I had always been clueless when it came to scents. Now, however, I could smell things as they really were. I like to go to the market and get drunk on blasts of grapefruit and kiwi, choose new ingredients like chicory or basil, prosciutto, and chard. So this was the fishy odor of seafood. And that was Lemon Fresh Pledge. I knew when the checkout girl was menstruating and discovered why everyone else found chocolate so appealing. Phil was delighted. One night in bed, I stuck my nose into his armpit, and those strong male pheromones filled me with such a rush of lust that I practically attacked him. Needless to say, our sex life underwent a serious upswing. In the mornings after he left for work, I curled up in the big bed and reveled in the fragrance of our lovemaking. Sometimes in the midst of a board meeting or while driving in the car, I would sniff the back of my hand, rub warm skin against my nose and breathe it in again. My own special scent, the essence of me. Then, suddenly one day, I caught a cold and went into a panic, afraid my sense of smell would disappear again forever.
I can't stand this.
Lighten up. It's a cold. It's not the 7 plagues of Egypt. What has gotten into you?
Everything, I wanted to say. My congestion made me more determined not to waste a single moment. I felt as though all of my senses had sharpened, and I was bristling with antennae, quivering with sensation. Through the internet, I found other enthusiasts, and we messaged each other endlessly about herbal extracts, aromatic essences, and lost recipes for historic colognes. I loved it. Back at the market, I followed a man for several aisles, just because he smelled like kerosene and freshly cut lumber.
Maybe you need therapy.
Did you put cinnamon in the sauce this time?
Aromatherapy, Diane. A 12-step program for the aromatically addicted.
Perhaps a touch of almond.
You really don't want to get carried away with this. People are starting to talk. You were seen yesterday in the park. Kneeling in the dirt with your nose planted in some lilac bushes. This is starting to get ridiculous.
They weren't lilacs, Phil. They were Agincourt beauties. Don't you understand? I mean, if I'd gone from blind to seeing, you'd call it a miracle.
That's different.
Not to me. I have musty old books in my life now. Honeysuckle. I feel passionate about something for the first time in my life, and I want to follow where it leads. Sorry if I'm not doing this right. His disapproval hung in the air like cheap perfume. Maybe I was crazy, losing my mind instead of coming to my senses. In bed that night, lying beside him, trying to sleep, I became aware of the emotions seeping out of his pores, the citrusy scent of ambition, a spicy fume I identified as competitiveness, and beneath it all, almost masked by the redolence of male ego, the heart-aching current of loneliness. I love you.
I know. I know you do, honey.
I'm sorry to be such a crank. When all this first began, it was actually kind of fun. It was like watching a kid on her first trip to Disneyland.
But now?
To be honest, it feels like I'm competing with some other lover. And I know that's not fair, but I can't help the way I feel.
I could hardly breathe. The pain in his confession hurt me. But more than that, his breath exuded such envy and fear. I pulled the sheet up to my face. Better to be suffocated by fabric softener and detergent than to deal with the vapor of guilt. In the morning, we had nothing to say to each other. I began running water into the sink, adding soap, putting in dishes. The clock ticked on the wall, and somewhere outside, a bird began its morning song. Maybe Phil was right, and I was the foolish one, thinking I could ever be special. The bird's trill rose up a key, and I thought, but once you know, you can't not know. How could I ever go back to a narrower life? I started scrubbing the dishes and listened as the bird, whatever it was, flew through a half-dozen different songs. Do you hear that? He's singing his little heart out. Brand new day. Brand new start.
What are you talking about?
That bird! Don't you hear him? Oh, he sounds like a whole flock.
I don't hear anything. The window is closed. How can you hear him?
Far above us, an airplane droned in melodic counterpoint to the bird's song. Someone's radio played classical music. Tchaikovsky's Waltz. Oboes and bassoons traded places with cellos and violins. Funny how I'd never noticed the whirring sound of bicycle tires from the kid delivering the newspaper, or the little rumble the kettle made before it whistled.
I asked how you could hear that bird outside. Are you listening to me?
Phil's voice rose in an A minor arpeggio. Outside, leaves rustled like taffeta, and my heart lifted on the breeze that whispered softly as a lover in my ear. A tiny ripple of pleasure ran over me with each sigh of my pores breathing.
Diane, what are you listening to? Diane. Diane!